Hey, friends. Welcome to Dishing on Divorce on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, Podcasts, and TV. I'm your host, Lisa Lisser, CEO and founder of LZL Coaching, a boutique coaching firm focused on divorce, relationships, and life transitions. Now, my life has had a lot of transitions. I started my professional career as a big firm litigator. Then I left to raise my 3 kids. I became a nonprofit leader and a public speaker, and I pursued a master's in Jewish education. I also became a spiritual counselor. All of this was on the road to becoming a divorce coach. And oh, yeah, I'm also a divorced mom of 3 now grown kids. And I know the fear and the overwhelm of divorce firsthand. I'm here to provide you help in ways that are obvious, but not so obvious. So you can think of me as your guide on the side. This week on Dishing on Divorce, I am so excited to be speaking with Cece Shatz. Cece is the expert in all things divorce, and she is the producer of our show. She's known as the Doyenne of Relationship Building. She's an inspirational divorce and life transition coach, a speaker and author of Own the Mic, Step into the Spotlight, and she's known as the life-changing coach. Cece guides individuals through divorce recovery, through My Friends Connect, and the shift into single life, the journey of dating with compassion, with clarity, and with confidence. As founder of Going Solo Network and the new streaming network, Cece combines her coaching expertise with her media skills and marketing savvy to create platforms that empower voices and transform lives. Her intuitive style helps clients heal emotionally, helps them embrace new beginnings, and boldly step into their future. Thank you, Cece, and welcome to Dishing on Divorce.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you make me sound really great.
You are really great. And, you are really an inspiration. And you also are a confidence builder. So I will just share that when you reached out to me and we connected on LinkedIn, I think I got a little scared and I pulled back because who was I to do a podcast? That seemed too big and too scary for me. But we connected again a few months later and you said, Lisa, you have a voice and I think you can use it. And that gave me the confidence to step into something I'd never done before. And to me, that's sort of symbolic of the whole divorce process. Mm-hmm. We're stepping into something we've never done before. So I want to bring that back to you, Cece. So I always ask my guests, so what's your story? How did you get into this business? So tell us a little about how you all started here.
It's probably a long story. Probably, I don't know if everybody's got time, but it's been a lot of curves and twists, with regards to my life. And I think that happens with all of us. So often we think that we should have this straight, narrow type of path, right? And I think as many are going through divorce or a relationship loss of some sort, they didn't expect to be where they're at today, right? And so we just have to understand that when things come our way, maybe it's supposed to happen that way. Maybe there is a plan for us, that's something maybe bigger and greater that we've never imagined to happen, but we have to allow ourselves to be able to step forward and really analyze it to decide, okay, is this what I truly want to do? And that's basically what happened to me. At 50, I found myself divorced. I went through a terrible divorce, and both, emotionally and financially, it left me pretty much ruined. And then I tried to figure out, what the heck am I going to do? At that age, how am I going to rebuild myself? Because I'm thinking I'm going to be going into retirement soon. And I'm realizing, oh no, you're going to be working probably the rest of your life. So what are you going to do? And I wanted to focus on myself. I wanted to really step back and say, I've given my life to my family for years. I've been married most of my life, right? And I thought to myself, this time I want it to be about me. I want this next chapter in my life to be a little bit more about me, what makes me happy, do what I truly enjoy doing. So I started on a quest to try to figure that out, right? And to try to start making some money, trying to figure out, okay, how can I go forward? And when I was doing the divorce, I realized I went through so much pain with regards to it and so much devastation. I thought there's got to be a better way to do a divorce. My gosh, you can't leave you and everybody in ruin, both emotionally and financially. There's got to be something else with that. And then I came across a wonderful lady, Peggy Cooper, and her husband, Randy, and I took their CDC course, which actually changed my life. Yeah.
Me too, right? That's what changed
She's
me.
got a wonderful program, and it's really moved mountains, I think, for many people. And it's brought the whole coaching world out in front now, where people start to understand. And, I've often asked, like, if I was going to get divorced today, what is the first thing I would do? I tell them, call a coach. Figure out what kind of coach you might need. Do you need a coach that's more emotional? Do you need a coach that, is going to help you more financial? Are there's different aspects in the divorce that you need more help with? Go to a coach first, then they'll start directing you. And maybe you might need an attorney to handle some of the legal ins and outs of it. I'm not saying attorneys are bad or anything like that, but why not save yourself some heartache and some money and figure out your path? So I always say, go to a coach first, figure out if you can do mediation, that you want to go with a coach that maybe does mediation. It can handle some of the emotional aspects of it. And then if you need to fine tune the finances, like, do you have a business? Do you have something like that? Then you might need a little bit more heavy hitter within the finance area. And your coach can direct you. That's what they're there for. They'll direct you into different things that you need to have, different coaches. Maybe you need to build a team, or maybe that one individual can help you with it. But I think our coaching world changed when I got divorced in my 50s. Now it's funny because my son and I were figuring out how old I am, because I didn't even know how old I was, right? I said, am I going to be 68 or 69 this year? Because end of this month, November is my birthday. And so we figured out I'm going to be 69. So next year I'll be 70, the big 70.
Wow.
So I made it through, So to make a long story short, that's what made things happening with regards to in the world of divorce for me, and coaching and all of that. So I decided, I would start doing the coaching. I started a group. Well, I took over a group, I should say. I took over a group.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you are sharing so much, and I want to get your whole story, but I also want to reflect a little for the audience, okay? Because we want to sort of align our stories with our audience's stories. And so this is what I hear. I'm going to reflect back, which is something I learned from Peggy, right? Mm-hmm. What did my clients share with me? What did my friends share with me? So you shared that you got divorced at 50. It was devastating. It changed your whole identity. It collapsed your financial system, and you had to really get focused on something totally, totally different, because now it was your responsibility to raise yourself, essentially, right? Yeah. Now it was your turn. So you took the time, even though you may have felt like you didn't have it, to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to get there? And you explored, because somehow Peggy's information crossed your way. And I know that Peggy's Florida-based and you're Florida-based, and that might have been the initial, because you were in the same spaces, but you recognized a field that could have helped you so much, and that you wanted to step into that, that chasm, that space, to give other people the support that they would need, and the support that you wished you'd had. And so not only were you learning new skills, but you were going to have to figure out how to market this. And so that sort of leads to the next piece. But one thing I want to give you a shout out for is, like, you started this at 50, and so many people feel like, I'm too old. No one will hire me. How will I ever work for myself? And that's something that I hear from clients, that, they haven't worked for a long time, and now they have to create something or invent something or be in an institution or a business, a company, a corporation, and they don't know how to do it. But you invented it, the niche that you were going to move into, learning that there was someone else doing it, and somehow Peggotty's information crossed your way because of the energy. I do believe in manifesting. So I sort of feel like we put the energy out there and things come back to us, not in a magic way, but in a way that your energy was toward, there has to be something better than this. And that's where you got to.
Yeah.
So now share a little bit about like the beginnings of your practice before you became a broadcaster.
Well, I started, like I said, I took over the divorce support group, and it grew quite large. And I was just very, oh, we have a comment. I'm talking away here. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. Somebody's just messaging on the comments. Thank you for listening, though. We do appreciate it. But yeah, absolutely. So anyhow, what I did is I took over the group, and it grew quite a lot. And I was very fortunate that our local TV station found out about the group and what I was doing. And I had decided I went on I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I did go on a friend of mine who had Connie Rose, who does Victims to Survivors, and she still practices today. I went on her show and talked about domestic violence within a relationship, because both I experienced it and I was seeing it a lot in our group. And when I did that, I was offered a program. And most of you out there don't realize that a lot of these programs, the hosts pay for these, right? They pay you to be on, to be able to share their information with you. And I was lucky because they said, we love you so much and what you're doing and what you're offering, and we'll give you a free show. So I thought, well, I'll do it. Let me do it. And that was back in the day when we didn't have video. We were just doing podcasting. We're getting more online, more and more online. And like you said, Peggotty Cooper's program was totally in person back then, because we weren't doing online at all. And so it just kind of grew from there. The local TV station picked up what I was doing, and they actually came out and they did a whole program on me. It ran over a Thanksgiving, which was really great. And more people joined my group. And I mean, I had it up to 800 at one time. And
Wow.
we're not talking people that were just in the group and not doing anything. We're talking active people in the group. And we had a program in place where you could actually talk online. And so we would through emailing, and we would be up all night emailing each other, talking, emailing. And one of the people said, we'd love to watch your show, but we can't do it. It's live. It's, over with. And it's not like it is today where you could see it again. And they said, can you come up with something? So I talked to my good friend, Chuck Bryant, who has a wonderful ministry out there. And so he put together a whole radio station, which was our WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. So he put that together so people could listen to it 24 hours a day. So that really increased everything. And it seemed like I was going more from the divorce coaching, even though I still did it. I went more into the media aspect because I was learning more and more things, and I found it so interesting. And it's like when you learn something new and you see something else you want to learn, and it really brought a lot of joy into my life. So, I was probably one of the first women out there to do this type of work, or maybe in other states or whatever, I don't know. But I was offered to go on regular TV, like you would have seen normal TV. But I decided to go the internet route because I felt internet was the way of the future. And it certainly is. As we can now see, the internet is certainly there. And now we're into the TV and the radio still. And we do the podcasting, which is right there. Podcasting, people don't realize the difference. Podcasting is simply audio and we're on major stations like iHeart, Spotify, Apple, all of them.
Yeah.
So we're on all of those things. But yeah, but I still have, I have a big dating group that's in our area in Tampa, and it's like 3,000 people in the dating group.
That's
And I have
amazing.
a travel group that's got like a couple thousand people in the travel group. So I mean, we still got a huge presence going on, a huge thing going on.
So what you're really expert at is finding the need and then responding to it, right? You found a need to share information about divorce, and then you found a person who was going to help you respond to that need, and created WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio.
Yeah.
And that was very prescient, you had a lot of foresight in the fact that people wanted this information, needed this information. So you were going to find a way to create it. But what I also hear you saying is that that all people, but especially people going through divorce and life transition, need connection.
Yeah.
And that's where your, superpower of community building comes in. To have a group that's 800 active members, and you're not actually meeting in person with 800 people at one time, but you're communicating and you're developing relationships. And then to have this other network where you said there are 2,000 people, again, you're sort of leveraging that need we all have to feel seen. And that's what we try to do as divorce coaches, is we may be the only person in our clients' world who are actually seeing them, who are actually listening to them. And, their lawyers, their friends, their family, their parents, their kids, maybe they all hear them, but they can't hear them without the filter of their own connection to the divorce. But the divorce coach has no stake in the process except the client in front of them. And that's what gives them that clear view. And you saw those people and recognized that they needed support, and they needed advice, and they needed education. And that's what this platform does for the audience.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think that's how I got the name, relationship building, because it really is about building a relationship. Without that key component, you're just nothing, And so, so it really was interesting, but it wasn't an easy road at all, because going into the media part, I remember telling everybody, I want to build, I would say, this is what I want to build. I want to build a community. I kept wanting to build a huge community so that's how I come up with the brand Going Solo. And everybody gets confused about that, because going solo is not just about being single. What it truly means, it's about our independence.
Right.
It's about an individual. We are all solo, independently. And that's really what it was. And it was about encouraging those to be able to step beyond where they're at today, think about their future, and move forward with it. It wasn't about, just being geared towards singles. And people just couldn't get that. They couldn't understand what the going solo was. Was it just about being single? But it wasn't. It was about an individual, independent mindset, and being able to really build on that, to move.
Right. Those two things, the independence and the mindset shift.
Right.
Because people might have thought they were independent before, even when they were part of a couple, but then they discovered through the divorce process that there were things they didn't know. There were things they didn't understand. There were things that they didn't have agency over. And now it's their responsibility. So on the one hand, it's a great opportunity, but on the other hand, it can be really scary. So the going solo can sound scary, but it's your greatest opportunity. So again, you've transformed that fear into a strength. So solo is about independence, and independence is learning how to be in charge of yourself. And that's really powerful.
Yeah. And the network was about community.
Yeah.
So it's so making the whole network, but it's grown, it's grown tremendously since then. And but yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to think, because I remember thinking, oh, what am I going to do? And then I
Well,
thought, well,
wait. So before we go there, because
yeah,
we're at 20 minutes, we're a little
oh,
bit past our little break time, but that's of course
yes.
because we have so much to talk about. So for our audience, we're going to take a 30-second break and we will be right back with Cece Shatz. And we're back with Cece Shatz, the founder and director of Going Solo Network Radio, Podcasts, and TV, my producer and friend, and the Doyenne of Relationship Building. So, I might as well say all of it.
That's right. I know. It's like my life it's huge, right? It's this big, huge, when people talk, I mean, it feels like, even though I've had children and I'm very proud of my kids and how they've grown, I feel like my life hasn't, for me personally, didn't start until I was 50. So now I've had 18 years, right? 18 years of building this, and it's full. I mean, it's really completed, and I have so much more that I want to do in this lifetime. So it's exciting to think that you come from the place of just divorce, where you were devastated, thought you had nothing, nothing to what on earth was I going to possibly do, to now trying to say to myself, stop, because you should retire. Stop. But I love what I do. I really do. I'm very happy, and finding the joy, after divorce is really not an easy task, but it's, once you do, it's really terrific. It is terrific.
It's really, and the thing is, you acknowledge something really, really present for people going through divorce, that it's not an easy path, but if it were easy, it wouldn't be worthwhile, right? Like we, yeah, we want things to be easier, but we learn so much from our challenges, and we are going to get through to the other side. And what you demonstrate is that this was a field you never anticipated being in. It's not like you were a little girl and you grew up thinking, I want to do podcasts about divorce and going solo. That was not in your head, because you had a different dream in your head. I'm going to get married and have children, and that's that. Right? I mean, you probably had career on there too at some point, and there were different iterations, but you finally got to step into your own independence after that devastating divorce. And you don't wish that pain on anybody. And I wish it wasn't so painful for you. I wish it wasn't so painful for me, but it gave me the opportunity to have a totally different life experience. And it wasn't my expectation, but there's a lot of power there. And look at what you've created these last 18 years. I mean, that's quite impressive. And so, how many shows would you say are on the network? And I know you have two networks, right? You have the Going Solo and the Go Boldly.
Yeah, what happened is I decided I was doing the Going Solo, and everybody was starting to get confused. They were thinking it was because the thing is just totally about being single. But I wanted that transition of when you step forward into your life, you're going boldly into your life, and we have to continue. And I wanted to encourage people to continue working on themselves, because I really do feel that's where the problem is with divorce at the beginning, is that I think we don't continue as individuals to continue working on ourselves. And I think if we keep doing that, we'll be better partners to other people. if that's what we choose to have in our lives. So I felt like, well, we needed to be going bold. And so then I thought, okay, now people are starting to get a little bit confused because they got going solo, going bold. So then we came up, and Bella, a good friend of mine, came up with New Streaming Network, which stands for Nonstop Entertainment Worldwide Streaming Network. And so that's how we came up with the new, and now we put them all under one platform. But there's about, I don't know, anywhere from, we do specialty shows too. So there might be like 18, sometimes maybe even 20 shows at one time. I have several shows myself, and I do a lot of shows with other people too. Like some new people that are coming on, having a platform. They don't want to be by themselves at the beginning. I'll be on with them for a while, come up with some creative things. Like we did Chicks Chat, which I want to get that back on again. That was a lot of fun. So
It was a lot of fun because I did that with you one night. So that was really fun.
That was fun. And it's like being creative. I think that is the key as we're stepping forward into that transition of our lives, is to allow yourself to be creative in your mindset, because not everything is so set in stone, as we said before. And if you allow yourself to think out of the box and do something a little bit out of the ordinary, you may find a door may open up for you, and you might end up in a profession or something that you never dreamt that you'd be doing. I mean, did you really think, years ago you'd be doing divorce coaching? I mean,
never. I never thought that was going to be my story. I had a very different narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when I discovered the field of divorce coaching, I realized that this was it. Now, all the different parts of my life were like weaving together so that I could serve people in the way I was meant to serve them. Right. This is, I've always been like a helping person, but this is concrete. This is immediate. This is, how to walk through the hardest moment that you may have had in your life and get to the other side with a plan. So I think that's the other piece. Like, you didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. But if someone had sat with me and said, look, there's going to be a time after this divorce. So what do you want that to look like? And probably I would have said, I don't know. How can you ask me that? I just need to get through tomorrow or today. But when you work with a coach, you take that pause so that you can actually start to envision a future. And I also say, just like you said, get creative, get curious, be audacious, think big. You're not necessarily going to do the biggest thing, but the most out of the box ideas you find can become the thing that gives you joy.
Right.
And until you articulate them, then they're not real. But once you say it out loud, once you write it on a piece of paper, once you speak to another person about it, it becomes much more real. Because it's also it's like you have to build it with community, but the community within yourself and your world. Right? Like you're like the expert community builder. And you might not have realized that before your divorce, because maybe you didn't need to be that person before, even though it was part of you. But what you're building now is so much bigger.
Yeah, well, I have 5 kids, so I think I had my own little community going on there. So yeah, actually 6. I had one that was stillborn, but so 5, and so I had my own, my own little network set up there. So, but yeah, so I totally get that. But I was thinking about too is I cannot tell you how many people like would laugh at me or tell me, no, you can't do that. You can't do this. Because when we first started into podcasting, it was just in a world where you put it on your website. You didn't really do anything. And I thought, are you kidding? Everybody's listening to all these other platforms. I'm not going to do that, And I'm really bad. If somebody tells me not to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to at least test it out, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I thought, no, I don't believe in that. And so you've got to follow what you truly believe in, right? If you truly believe in something, and test it out and see and be adventurous and try it, because like we're on, I don't know how many networks now. People are picking up the new thing now is picking up our stream. People are picking up our stream, and that's going out to a bunch of places. And I don't even know. People have asked me, like, what are your stats? I have no idea. I'm too busy letting people pick up our streams and show. And I figure, our stuff will get out there. I'm going to worry about the stats later and just keep on moving forward, because that is the future, right? And picking up the streams is our future. And we're like, we think about podcasting like we did radio, right? Only radio. Now podcasting. Now it's TV, where podcasting is going to be kind of, maybe back when we did podcasting. And so who knows what's going to happen. So yeah, I think we have to be adventurous, and we have to allow ourselves to just, if we feel something's right, just just go out and do it, right?
Yeah.
Try it.
And so the thing is, what you're saying is you're like, be brave, be bold,
Mhm.
be courageous. And people who are coming out of divorce are not there.
Right.
They're in that feeling of devastation and despair. And so how do we step in? It's just taking small steps to say, I'm going to get up today and I'm going to do something new. And I don't know what it is, and it might not have to be very big, but I'm
Mhm.
going to try something new. And if someone tells me I can't do that, that means I'm supposed to do that. Right? Like we have to listen to what the
Well, my
Lord is.
mom may not agree with that. So, yeah, well, rest in heaven. But yeah,
Yeah,
but she may not.
there's a difference between, don't touch the hot stove and don't, call that person about that job. There are two different things, but
Yeah.
you get my sense.
Yeah. But as you were talking, the one thing I was thinking that's so important about coaching is that it's someone you can trust. When you come out of, relationship loss and you're devastated, and even if you are, let's say, widowed, you're devastated and you don't know what to do and how to do things and where to go. And your friends are telling you, oh, get up, dust yourself off and get back into the life again. It's not easy to do that. But a coach you can use as a sounding board. We say that phrase many, many times when we refer to a coach, but it's true. You can use it as a safe place where you can talk about how you feel, what you're experiencing, what you're going through. And then you can start approaching it logically, because a lot of times just getting up in the morning and taking a shower is a big feat, but logically we all know that we need to get up and take a shower. So, how do we go about doing that? And those baby steps. And I think that's where coaches really, truly help, is to be able to help that transformation wherever you're at. You may not be that devastated, but there may be other areas in your life that you need to work on. And a coach is a really great, safe place to talk about those issues, try to come up with those solutions to the problems. Yeah, I think it's a great thing.
No, I agree. I mean, the bottom line is we're coaches, we're not therapists.
Mhm.
I'm not here to analyze you, and I'm also not here to make you sit in the why did I do that, or what motivated me, or what bad thing happened to me in the past. I'm here to say you got through a really difficult time and we need to help you step forward. And you
Yeah.
don't have to I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to test it out. We're going to road test the solutions. We're going to gather data and we're going to figure out what's right for you, small step by small step. And, that's something where I read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about atomic habits, meaning so small, they're the size of atoms, right? So if that means I'm waking up and taking a shower today, that's a big thing. That may not be a small thing. Like our whole measure of what does it mean about what I'm doing, right? Am I doing something big or am I doing something small? Is it insignificant or what? And you don't have to, lose 30 pounds in 2 days, you have to get out of bed and maybe take a walk, right?
Mhm.
If you take a walk, you've gotten out of bed, you've taken a shower, and now tomorrow maybe you'll take a walk. And
Right.
it doesn't have to be that big,
Mhm.
because every day we call it, habit stacking.
Mhm.
One thing will lead to another. Like if you take a little walk, even if it's 5 minutes, you're getting a little fresh air outside. So now we've done 3 things. What's next? Maybe make it 10 minutes. Maybe, maybe make a phone call to someone you haven't talked to in a long time. Like there's so many things, but the coach is the one that you can like test out, well, what should I do next? And actually we stay away from the word should, right? We say, what could I do next?
Yeah.
You know, what do I have the opportunity to try? Because trying is living, right? Every time you
Mhm.
try something new, you're living it. And you, Cece, are like the banner wearer of let's try something different and create something amazing. So,
That's very true. Yeah.
and so I just want to thank you
Mhm.
for being here, for being my guest at a minute's notice, but also for being available to share your story, because
Sure.
that's really powerful. So I'm going to ask you a last question.
Okay.
What would you say are your like top 5 tips for people who are coming through a divorce? First you hire the divorce coach, but what do you think are your tips for going solo?
Well, I think number one is not think that your life is over, right? Because you're actually like your life is just beginning, right? It
Mhm.
truly is. And then the next is start to carve out what it is that you truly want. Figure out what does make you happy. What would you like to do, and starting to kind of put that in place. And if you need some help along the way, get it. Don't hesitate, because so often we think, oh well, I can do this on my own. Well, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need somebody to kind of, say, hey, this is how you can do it, and ask for help. Because, like when the radio station was built by Chuck, I mean, I didn't build the radio station. The radio station's still going on, and it's amazing. And, simply because I said, hey, I was thinking about doing this. And what do you think? You know, and I don't know how many have I gone through?
You've gone through 3, but I think actually 4, because when you talk about Chuck, it's like enlist experts who have
Yeah,
skills that you don't have.
right,
Build
right.
your team. Build your team, right?
Right. And understand that you're not going to know everything. You're not going to learn everything. And sometimes you don't want to learn it. I don't want to learn all that technical stuff, but I just need to know enough to be dangerous. That's all. I just need to
I
know
like
enough
that.
to go like that. And I guess probably the last thing is just don't limit yourself. We limit ourselves. We're the ones that are sitting back thinking, oh, well, I can't do this. I can't do that. Believe me, my very first podcast, I thought I was going to pass out. They had to take a break because they thought I was going to, I got pale. I was stuttering, and and luckily you couldn't see me, but on the podcast, it's just audio. But they had to take a break because they knew that I was starting to hyperventilate. But after that, once I did the first one, that was it. I loved doing it. I love talking to people. I love finding out about people. I love helping people. So it was just really right up my alley. I truly enjoyed it. And I've been very, very lucky to have wonderful people in my life that have just kind of kicked me in the butt and said, you can do it. Don't think that you can't do it. You can do it. So yeah. So allow
Amazing.
yourself that, don't limit yourself, because we limit ourselves. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. So, Cece, I'm going to summarize. Your life isn't over. It's just starting.
Right.
Um, Figure out what you want. Now might be the first chance you've had in a really long time to figure out what do you want for you. Get help that you need. Don't hesitate to ask for help. You don't have to be the expert in everything. Um, Enlist your experts and don't limit yourself. I love it. Perfect, perfect advice.
Great.
Cece, how can our audience find you?
Okay, well, I have two websites, which is the goingsolonetwork.com, and that's where really all the singles connect under kind of a My Friends Connect. And then, of course, on the media platform, which is the newstreamingnetwork.com. And if you want to send me an email, it's goingsolonetwork@gmail.com, goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. And I answer my own emails. No one else reads them but me. So you're more than happy to send me any email that you'd like, and I'll answer it for you.
Great.
So, yeah.
Great. So this is person to person. When you're talking about being relationship building or being the Doyenne of relationships, that's real because you're there. You're on the other side of that email. So thank you so much, Cece. This has been such a great conversation. Not the last, definitely the first of many. And for my audience, you can find me at lzlcoaching.com, or you can email me, lisa@lzlcoaching.com. Until next time on Dishing on Divorce, I'll see you then. Bye.